me crazy. That much is true. But if it's between me and sickos, oh, I'm dumping you. Yeah, some call me crazy. That much is true. But if it's between me and you and the sickos, oh, I'm leaving you. Yeah. Hello and
I have
welcome to...
no idea. I have no idea what you were trying to sing there.
I sang from the soul and my pussy.
Yeah, he
Welcome
sang
to
from
the
his soul and from his
And my
pussy.
Welcome to the Untitled Sickos Project. I'm tired of this bullshit.
Oh,
my
now.
Barbie.
now.
Oh wait, I
Jaden.
gotta add it to the tip jar now. I can't say the S word.
Doesn't feel
Anyway,
so good, does it?
Hello, hello, and hello. I am Nick Man, and I am just here to say hello.
You're doing a great job.
fantastic. Anyways, I hope everybody's having an awesome Friday. We are back, of course, every single day. The draft is itching closer to where several people are going to tune in to see young men's lives get changed forever. The NFL draft is quickly approaching, and some of these men are about to become multi-millionaires. And we're going to go take a look back at some of the worst draft classes in the absolute history, within a reasonable amount of time. And this
Yeah, because we're not going to go back and roast the 1960s. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Oh, you didn't draft Frank Tarkenton? How dare you?
Yeah. So, anyways, but before we do, there's also other news that has happened in the NHL circles too. Big one being, it has been confirmed that the Arizona Coyotes will be moving to Salt Lake City. The players just got informed of it today.
Ooh, big news.
So,
Big news. Thoughts?
oh boy. It
Salt Lake City's gonna be getting a football team really soon.
It seemed like the moves that really we all should have seen coming was when the citizens picked a toxic toxic landfill over a new entertainment district.
Yeah, that was kind of like
that was the sign.
very telling of the...
That was the sign. That's the sign that had the writing on the wall. That's the sign we should have seen coming, because even then, right? Even then, there was still a shot where it was like, you buy a plot of land outside of Scottsdale, and you develop your entertainment district there, and you are going to willingly to privately fund it. But wait, what if you participate in this land auction, there's an 80% chance that you will win it. Even then, it seemed like they didn't want to go through the hassle quite yet. Now, the Arizona Coyotes have not been ruled out given an expansion franchise. I don't understand why, because I would rather prefer they keep this current group of players that they've drafted and developed. Like, do you realize the Coyotes are about to turn a corner and become really damn good? They just need to figure out what their defensive core is going to look like for the long term. But in that case, this team's going to be really damn good. They're going to be really fun to watch. Like, even then, right? Take that 14-game losing skid out of the way. This was a team that would have been fighting for a playoff spot.
Hmm.
I agree with you, but at the same time, this move has been a very long time coming.
Mm-hmm.
Like I want to say, like it's been rumored ever since like 10 years ago, even. You know,
It's
like
been rumored, it's been rumored since Obama was in office. That should tell you all.
yeah,
Yeah.
like even like everybody just has just been calling it, the mistake in the desert and all this, and as much as they finally have turned that new leaf, as it were, and are actually an exciting franchise now. I totally get it. This has been a floundering franchise for years, not just on the ice, but financially as well. Just
Hmm.
basically a hot potato of owners who.
Well, it's mostly like you look at the history too. It's mostly owners that had no intention of owning this team for the long term. Most of them
Hmm.
bought the team and then sold it for a profit and moved off of it as soon as they could. They knew that this wasn't feasible for the long term. And
Yeah,
especially
and
with
I feel like that was. I'm sorry to cut you off, but I
what's
feel
good.
like that's probably the biggest downfall for them is just so much bad ownership, regardless of who is owning it. Feels like the Coyotes have always had just awful ownership, and that's it's basically forever tainted their reputation to the point where, yeah, you're having residents choose literal garbage over Coyotes.
Yeah, it's kind of sad that this franchise has essentially their sole contribution to the NHL world is essentially, you know, getting Austin Matthews into hockey.
Also,
Literally, that's
hold on. It's Matthew Nyes as well. He is from Arizona.
yeah.
But that you know making some some Leafs players, uh, that's that does not a successful franchise make.
Yeah, do want to say though, it does tell me that, look, there's people from Arizona that got into hockey, and I can guarantee you, because we've seen it with Vegas, we've seen what happens when a team has a great ownership group. They had great ownership from the beginning. The Coyotes very likely would never had these problems to begin with. But unfortunately, this is the Arizona Coyotes we're talking about, and it's been a long time coming with this move because I really do feel bad for the long time, the loyal fans who have stuck through all the hell that the Coyotes have gone through all these years of just constant changes, changing the name, bad ownership after bad ownership, and just going through rebuild after rebuild to now finally you have a promising core and now they're packing their bags.
I still see this as putting the Arizona hockey experiment out of its misery.
I mean, here's the
Yeah.
thing. I think it's the right move because I don't like the current existence of this Coyotes franchise, the current iteration. I don't see an owner that could save them right now, or at the very least, an owner that will put them in a great situation because I mean the Suns owner is very rich. He could possibly, if he ever wanted to, he could. Honestly, I wouldn't be well. It's gonna be going to the same owners anyway. But like, even if you have like a rich owner like that, the problem is where the hell do you have them play? Because well, they could get it. Obviously that whole thing with Scottsdale was rumored, but now that feels like that's going out the window for a bit. So I don't know. It's just I feel like everything about this organization needs just a teardown after this, move and all that. It needs a teardown because I mean, and I also think it also helps that like Salt Lake City has because I'm pretty sure the guy who's getting the Salt Lake City team is the same guy who owns the Utah
Yeah,
Jazz,
he is.
Ryan Smith.
Yeah.
And I can tell you already from what I've seen, the dude is very passionate about sports. He's very passionate about owning the Jazz, and he's going to be very passionate about owning the hockey team in Salt Lake City. And that's already bodes well for, the team moving to Salt Lake over, having a constant rotation, a rotating wheel of, bad owners in Arizona. And I do want to point this out because I think the thing that's really caught people off guard is not really the fact that the Yotes are moving, but the fact that it's happening so quickly. Like it came out of nowhere. Like this news that they'd be moving to Salt Lake City, for next season, because it's like, well, it's like there's been rumblings, but never like concrete proof, and then all of a sudden it just all comes out of nowhere. And I was watching the Hockey Guys video because I'm sure if anyone is tired of having to talk about this topic, it's Shannon. But I love the video he did, and what I really took away was how the similarities between this and the Atlanta Thrashers relocation, because when Atlanta moved from Atlanta, like when the Thrashers moved to Winnipeg, it happened fast. Like it just came all of a sudden, and all of a sudden you saw that, yeah, this team's moving to Winnipeg, and it just, same thing's happening here with the Coyotes to Salt Lake City.
So I know this is kind of weird, but thoughts on what the new name might be?
Seals.
I know we want this. Hold on. The Seals would be perfect. It would be destiny fulfilled. However, I will say this: the Yeti would be a great name, though. I cannot lie about that.
Yeah. And personally, I think what they're gonna go with is probably the Bees.
Actually, I don't know. I don't think
These are the minor league baseball team.
I mean, maybe you could go something like, I don't know,
Bees
Yellow
are my
Jackets or
baseball
something.
team.
I would, like, if we're being genuinely honest, Yetis are a great option. I like
But,
the
you know.
Yetis. Yetis are, I think, a really good centric team. I would want to study more about what Salt Lake City is before diving into it. I mean, the funny
Mormons. That's what they're all about. Mormons.
well,
I mean, to be fair, Yeti
stereotype.
would already fit Utah more than Jazz.
I think personally, the Salt Lake City Mountains
Mountaineers,
wouldn't be that
something like Evergreens, something that really resembles for the city. It's not going to be the
Also, something I've seen thrown around is the possibility is a lot of people want to see, you know,
jerseys.
eight 4-team divisions, which I think that would be pretty cool.
I can see that happening.
I
Honestly, I could
could.
see.
But I would see them go to 8 divisions if they were to go to 40. Now I'm kind of
I disagree.
That's just me, because if you were to go, the only way I would want them to go to 8 divisions is if you're not going to expand at all. Then that makes the most sense to me. If you were to go to 36, I mean, some divisions are going to have 4, some are going to have 5.
Right. I just think
it would look messy, but if it's 40, done. 8 divisions easily. You would go, because then it would go back to how hockey would used to be, where instead of you would have you go back to just the top 8 teams in the conference would get the playoff spot, and then the 4 division winners. Like, it would go back to the classic style of how it should be. But if you were to go to 30, if it were to 36 and 8 divisions, no.
yeah, but no expansion though. I like that because it's like 8 divisions of 4, and there's a possibility of the Red Wings coming back to a more Midwestern division, and 4 division winners and then 4 at-large wild cards.
Yeah.
By the way, I just want to say, I find it so funny. Well, not really funny, but just it really feels like it sums up the Coyotes well that it was reported that they were doing something with Scottsdale, and all of a sudden that was going to be a plan in fruition, and then immediately afterwards it gets announced that they're moving to Salt Lake City. Like that just feels like a perfect way to end this version of the Arizona Coyotes.
That's a very Coyotes way to end the Coyotes. Um. Anyway,
I like my favorite video of all this, of all like seeing it was Steve Dan someone saying, well, the Arizona Coyotes could stay, and Steve's like, no, stop, just stop this. Enough.
Put them out of their misery.
It's not happening.
I think that's just because, the Coyotes have randomly terrorized the Leafs for so long.
No, it's not that. We're tired. It's just the news. It's exhausting, right? Like
Just get on with it. Like just decide what you want to do. Like just make up your mind. Literally I feel like, as I said, I feel bad for the fans. It sucks that they've had to go through all of this and now they're not going to have a team. And honestly, with the Coyotes' young core, look, I am seeing why people are bringing up similar vibes to what we saw with Quebec when they moved to Colorado. But honestly, it's just and just finish this saga already.
Mm-hmm.
Get her done.
What else am I gonna say? Shit, I ran out of thought.
That's okay. Now we have the other piece of news. We were gonna do it last week, but I think we're more focused about.
Oh yeah. I do have something I want to do. A moment of silence for the death of O.J. Simpson.
I told you to the blazing inside my hat. Give me a second.
Yeah. The cancer was found innocent, by the way.
Don't be sad. This is just how it works out sometimes.
Gillis, you
An appropriate tribute to the
Pathetic. You need for the funeral, just do the same. Just have the car driving the casket and just have all of these police cars following right behind it. That is the funeral right there.
an appropriate
Piece is real!
Can we get much higher? That's my response to O.J. Simpson.
Wait,
Mine is dope.
Oh, hey! Someone rage quit.
All right, that's
No. We need to have a true moment of silence. We have been robbed of the poop game, the poop series in baseball.
Explain. God damn it! Will you stop that?
Yeah, the score bug, they changed the P to a bell. I'm guessing because it's City Connect. But they did it. It was yesterday. It was there yesterday.
Literally 1984, bro.
1984.
Yeah, it's probably because.
Also, Spencer tip jar.
I know.
Anyways, that was us giving a big whoop. I will say though, I will miss his accolades on the field. If that was what we knew the man for, rest in peace. But that's not what we know the man for. Cancer didn't forget what you did. So, karma.
Oh
Oh
god.
my god.
Why did the Bikini Bottom server have that fucking sound? And yes, I swear, Jar, I will count that. I don't care. It deserves that.
That's what Luke is gonna sound like when the Vikings draft Penix. I just know it.
Jump scare, it's VTubers. Ah, God!
Okay, question. Why are the Bulls suddenly wanting to be good at basketball again?
Because the NBA draft really doesn't matter. You're throwing darts at a board.
And because Jerry Reinsdorf is not smart.
Well, because Jerry Reinsdorf needs his play-in game, and also Javante Green is fun. That is the Bulls update that really hasn't really changed much all season.
Amanda's Sanogo.
More like Jerry Reinsdorf. Ooh!
Anywho, let's
So let's get back on track here.
Anyways, back on track. Anyways, the other topic of stadiums, the Oakland A's have been announced that they are going to be playing in Sacramento after this upcoming baseball season. They'll be using the Sacramento River Cats minor league stadium for their games, and they will begin to whore off to see what if they can get a better deal for when it comes to getting a stadium. Keep in mind, currently, taxpayers in Vegas, if they decide to go to Vegas, I believe are on the bill for 25% of
That's
it.
around that number.
Around 25%. So he's going to whore up to see if Sacramento is going to see how much they're willing to pay for a new stadium. My reaction to this is, oh my fucking god, you gotta be fucking kidding
Hip
me.
jog.
That's twice, actually.
Here are my thoughts. Hey, Sacramento, we will personally build you guys a casino if you decide to keep the A's and not give them to us. I am okay if you guys keep them.
Plus, that way we get another California football team really soon.
My thing with it is, I think that it is absolutely ridiculous that it has come to this. That the fact that now they're, putting themselves on the market to save what? Like, if I find out, right, that the deal that they have in Sacramento is so that the taxpayers are on the bill for, let's call it 28% of the total project, I am going, John Fisher needs to seriously sell the team. It is completely disgusting that he would consider moving a team to a different organization to save a couple bucks. And as for even what he said about his press conference, he's saying, "Oh man, I can't wait to see Aaron Judge hit home runs off of in that stadium." I'm going, "Oh my god." Ugh. Really? You can't say your top prospect who you're currently burying in the minor leagues because he dares to signify something that's called rooted in Oakland. It is completely disgusting. Not to mention, for what it is in the stadium, for the workers, right, who've had to put up with this mass rebellion that the fan base has done with the team. I'm pretty sure that they're doing their genuine best that for whoever comes into the stadium is taken care of. They're doing their absolute best of a crap situation. They've now found out they've been all laid off. Isn't that just lovely and beautiful?
Yeah.
And
you want to know what's...
Oh yeah, you can say it, Nick. You can say it.
Okay, I was gonna say, because if I remember correctly, for the final home game or so that the A's will have at the Coliseum, they're doing a giveaway where it's everyone who shows up is gonna be getting replicas of the A's, the Oakland Coliseum, and all I'm thinking to myself is, this surely is not gonna end poorly. Surely, the A's fans who show up, and given it's gonna be the last one, I expect a lot of them will show up and protest. Surely this is not going to end badly.
I'm going to say that my prediction is, and this is what they should have done. They should have quietly, like their last home series is going to be played not in front of fans, and I would have quietly announced that, or like for like the last month or like the last 2 weeks of home games are going to be played without fans, because they're going to tear that stadium apart. This is going to be much worse than when the Washington with the Generals, right? Before they became the Rangers.
It was actually I think it was the Senators.
Oh yes, I think it was the Senators. So it's going to be worse than the Senators Stadium. I do believe that the very last home game will not be completed because fans are just going. What are they going to do to stop 40,000?
Like, what do they have to lose? Genuinely, what do you have to lose in that situation?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Like, I don't get it. This is like, if I'm a scumbag like John Fisher, what are they really gonna do? Oh, what? The fans are still paying season tickets, won't be able to show up to this game? What? So like the 50 fans that still are buying season tickets and some of them using the real sale market are gonna miss out on some games? Oh, boo-hoo. You can easily say we're doing it for the safety of the staff that is working there. You could say that. You could be that
Dang.
scummy and say that. Right? But instead it's, oh no. They're going to burn that stadium to the actual ground. This game, like, if I'm the players, I'm saying you're going to show up in your uniform, and we're going to make, as soon as the game ends, we are making a beeline for the bus, and we are going to get a police escort out of here because they are going to burn that stadium to the ground. They are going to literally raise all hell.
And I think that's part of Fisher's plan, to save on demolition costs.
Well, here's the thing. He doesn't even own the stadium. The city does.
Right, but
He's paying rent to the city, which means, fun fact, the city saves on a little bit of demolition costs, but it's going to be a complete riotous environment in that stadium. And if I live near that stadium at the last home game, you know what? It's a perfect time to lock all your valuables up in a storage locker and go on a vacation.
Well, here's the good thing about that then. Oakland Coliseum is actually in a very,
it's far away.
Isolated district.
Okay, that's
where
good.
It's basically just,
Yeah, because I know it was it was always next to Oracle Arena when Oracle Arena was still around.
Yeah, Oracle Arena, and also the freeway, and a bunch of, and basically then it's just the San Leandro.
Because, like, you understand,
So
like, my
if you're a
genuine
homeowner,
concern. Like,
if you're a homeowner, then this is one of the few times where you should be thankful for poor American infrastructure.
Mm-hmm.
And I really just as much as it breaks my heart to see Oakland go, I'd love to see that area turned into like affordable high-rise mixed-use housing.
God knows Oakland needs
if
that.
they can figure that out.
Yeah, especially since San Francisco is so keen on shooting down any projects that ruin the neighborhood by having structures taller than 10 stories.
It's also ruined because, just also the current turmoil and situation that they're going through. It's just, ugh. Like, you're waiting for the day to happen, and even then, you wouldn't be surprised if them overnight just said, you know what, we're just gonna go play in Sacramento for like the last week of games.
Right.
Yeah, they might just do what the Baltimore Colts did when they just bolted to Indianapolis. Just
bolt.
And the funny thing is, Bob Irsay was somehow more sympathetic in that situation.
Mm-hmm. Like, but just for the sheer fact that they are gonna, they're gonna give one fans a shout out. No, this is the one time where you be a scumbag and you hightail it out the second you can, and you can be as scummy as you want, because the atmosphere is going to be riotous. It's going to be very dangerous for everybody in attendance, and I wouldn't be like, who does Oakland play last? Who does the Oakland A's play last? I want to currently know who they're going to be playing, because I do believe if they're playing a team, and again, given how close just last year's playoff race was, right? I want to know who they're playing last and if it's going to even matter. Oh, okay. So the last home game is versus Texas on the 28th. So that is the last home game. They also have the Yankees before that.
I still want to see. I'm still interested in the Coliseum site as a
Ash.
as an urban planning enthusiast.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, it's very, very understandable. But for what it is, that stadium is going to get burnt to the actual ground. There will be no survivors.
In Detroit, we call that a Tuesday.
Fair enough. But yeah, as for it, even then, right? Why aren't you trying to woo up to the Vegas crowd? Why aren't you playing in Vegas? Why aren't you using Las Vegas? The Aviators have a very nice minor league stadium. They're your affiliate. Why aren't you using it?
Oh, it's like I'm surprised.
Right now, your best player is playing in Vegas right now. Your best player is in Vegas right now. So, why aren't you trying to capitalize on this? Instead of, whoring yourself up to whatever city would be willing to pay for the stadium because you're too cheap.
I'm honestly shocked they didn't try to go to Cashman Field. Seems like a perfectly.
It is beautiful.
Would be perfect for them, but yeah, it's not happening. But yeah, honestly though, to sum it up, John Fisher is an idiot, to put it kindly. So, you know what? I'll put in the swear jar anyway. Fuck you, John Fisher, and sell the fucking team. I'll put in the swear jar. I don't care.
You are ruining
I don't
baseball.
care. I'll put it in.
You are ruining baseball. You've killed baseball for anyone that was a fan of the Oakland A's. You have completely killed it. You have ruined it for an entire fan base, and they might not even recover for it. As much as you say, but expansions, the MLB should not even be talking about expanding. They can barely get stadiums full as is.
They burned the bridge anyway. Like you honestly you burned it arguably even worse than the NFL did with St. Louis. So congratulations.
And they might not even accept the minor league team at this point because of how bad you torched them.
Oh heck no! Exactly.
Yeah.
Anyways.
MLB and John Fisher disaster class. That sums it up well.
Yeah, get ready to learn Japanese, buddy.
These guys are gonna kill the MLB, and soon Japan's gonna be hosting the best players in the world. Way to go! And you know what? The citizens of Japan treat baseball very well, like extremely
For
now. We'll give you some time, but I hear from, especially from Momentum, they do
Yeah, I've seen the video. Yeah, it was. I mean, the way Japan enjoys baseball, it's something else.
It is a very special thing, and they deserve the best players to go there because they will treat them well, and I'm pretty sure the owners hopefully will remain smart enough to continue to treat the players well.
I tell you what, though, I sure will. I sure hope that soccer continues on the tradition of, a nice picnic sport where you can have a hot dog while watching it.
Oh yeah, it will be like that for America, but to see the absolute best baseball, it might be. Well, you might have to go to Japan now. They care about baseball.
Right. I'm just talking about the old summer picnic sport.
Oh yeah.
By the way, By the way, I just want to say you did say soccer. By the way, I don't think you said.
I know what Spencer meant though.
Yeah, I know what he meant by it. I just wanted to like what the viewers know that yeah, it was intended. But yeah, I think with that, I think we said all we can said there. Now
On to
feels like
lightning
a
fast
perfect time.
pick'ems.
It's perfect. Oh yeah, pick'ems too. Yeah,
All right,
pick'ems, and
first
then we
game.
get into the draft.
Yeah, first game. DC Arlington. I pick Arlington.
You Renegade. No wait, Beer Snake. Give me Beer Snake.
All right, Tegan.
Renegade.
It
And
said
Nick, who did
Arlington.
you pick?
Yeah, it said Arlington. I am going Renegades.
All right. Memphis.
I cleaned the window. Why did the property value go down?
Okay. Birmingham. Sorry, Memphis at Birmingham. Birmingham.
Yeah. Give me Birmingham. Give me the Stallions. Because they're going against Memphis, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and Memphis, they couldn't hold the lead to save their lives.
No finish.
Yeah,
Taken.
they can't finish, and also they have John DeFilippo as their head coach, and that says everything I need to know about that team.
Mm-hmm. Tegan.
Showboats, baby.
After last week, what I saw last week, I'm going Birmingham.
All right, Houston at Michigan. I will take the Michigan Panthers.
Yeah, give me Michigan. They're on fire, and also Houston is the Mr. Beast team.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Beast.
Crazy.
Nick, you gotta join me, man. You gotta
Oh.
join me. Yes, you
Oh,
do.
I had to watch. I was watching in the background while I was watching WrestleMania. I saw Houston have a guaranteed touchdown, and then they fumble it, and they turn the ball over while running towards the end zone. That was a perfect synopsis.
You
of the-
have
That
to join
game
me, Nick.
was
You have
beautiful.
to join me.
Mr. Beast!
I promise you, if you pick with me, they will win this week.
No, they're not.
Follow me.
Come on! Come on,
Tegan,
I am
Taken.
not
Nick,
picking you. I am taking the Panthers. I am not following your cult.
Tegan, I trust the guy that can kick an absolute 60-plus yard piss missile into the back
Yeah,
of the field goal.
and
No.
also, quit trying to make Nick Vane your slave. This is like the second time you've done this tonight. Free my boy.
Second time. That wasn't even the first.
All right, we got.
Need I mention the hot dog incident?
Okay, Battlehawks at the Brahmas. I am taking the Brahmas.
I'm taking the Battlehawks.
Brahmas.
I am going with the Brahmas, and by the way, I just want to say, prayers up to Destroying. That was tough to watch. I hate to see that for him.
Yeah, yeah, I almost made a bad pun there, and I should not have considered that.
And please don't forget watch-alongs every Sunday. I will.
Join us.
Crawl my ass out of bed. Hopefully next time I streams are not effing difficult. I'm gonna try using a VPN for the second time just to see what happens.
And I'll try to be more awake on Sunday, but no, wait. Sorry, Sundays. That's my HelloFresh day. Sorry.
That's your HelloFresh, I know. I have to. I don't know why. Like, Canada is not showing these games. They're not even on they're not even airing on TSN. There's 5 different channels, and not one of them will be airing the UFL. They're all airing.
It's anti-Dwayne discrimination.
Like, you know, they had the XFL. Remember, I realized I was like, oh shoot, they had the XFL on TSN Plus. So I was actually gonna subscribe to it, but I was like, oh wait, there's like 2 weeks left in the season. Never mind. But they had the XFL was on all of it was on TSN Plus, and then the USFL had a game or two that was going to be on DAZN, but
Yes.
nothing for
Yes.
this league.
I will make this an ensuite.
So
I am
anyways,
playing
watch
House
along.
Flipper.
Yeah, plus yeah, I probably will be skipping the first two games. I choose to sleep in tomorrow. I'm gonna sleep in tomorrow, and then I'll watch these games like on Monday before I go to work. I have at least a site that archives stuff for free. I know that hasn't been taken down. Let's double check. Just in case. If the site that my go-to site it does not look like it's been taken down. Oh,
Let's
beautiful.
go. Let's go.
Full replays. Ooh, you just group this up into one now? Oh my god, that's so oh my god, thank you. This is perfect. Oh, they organized it all into one group now. That is incredible. Okay, cool. All right, now onwards to our main topic of discussion. Bad NFL drafts. So we're gonna go around and we're gonna go. I think we're gonna at least have one that our teams that we have done. At least one of our teams, and then we're just gonna go throw darts at the dartboard and see who can.
Yeah, consider these our wild card at larges.
All right. Anyways, spinning the wheel. Who's going first?
Huh?
Nick goes first.
Okay.
I go first. I'm not gonna do the Bears yet. I think I can, because I have one draft class in particular that I have noticed. Like, like I was doing research for this, and it's like, oh, this is a pretty bad draft class. It actually feels like it really symbolizes a certain time period for this franchise. So, not doing the Bears yet, but I have a certain draft class in the past decade that I feel really was pretty awful. And for that draft class, I am talking about the 2015 Tennessee Titans draft class.
Ooh.
That was pretty bad.
Yeah, so obviously they took Marcus Mariota with the second overall pick in the first round, and Mariota was great in college, never panned out in the NFL. Really never came close to panning out. He was mediocre at times, but overall just could never make things work, which was a damn shame because he was incredible to watch in college. But part of it's on Mariota, part of it's on the fact that the Titans felt like they were changing coaches every season, which honestly not that far off from the truth. They were changing coaches like a million times until they got Mike Vrabel. So yeah, that's already not a good start, but it gets even worse when you see in the second round they took Dorial Green Beckham, which, if you watched college football in like around 2013, you will recognize this man because he was a beast at Missouri. He was a great wide receiver for Missouri, but he was dismissed from the University of Missouri in 2014, dismissed from the football team because he had some drug issues, and that kind of definitely hurt his status with the team, and they were just sick of it. So, yeah, he would get drafted in the second round, and he really never did anything. Like, genuinely, 1 year later, he was on the Philadelphia Eagles. Like, literally, he was traded to the Philadelphia Eagles in exchange for an offensive tackle named Dennis Kelly. And yeah, after 2016, he was waived by the Eagles. And yeah, that was literally his entire NFL career, 2 seasons. And yeah, that's the reason his reputation is not so great when it comes to how his career ended up turning out, even if he only went in the second round. But looking at other ones, their third round pick at number 66, Jeremiah Potasi or something. I think it's probably not pronouncing that right, but he was an offensive guard out of Utah, and he is currently playing in the CFL. So that sums that up well. Fourth round was Angelo Blackson. He's still in the NFL, more of a practice squad guy, but he plays for the Jaguars. Jalston Fowler, former football player, was a former fullback. Damn shame that didn't work out because fullbacks rock. Fifth round, they took David Cobb, a running back from Minnesota.
Ooh.
See, I don't know if he did anything, but oh damn, yeah, he was great in college, but like most running backs who come from college, didn't pan out. And yeah, mostly you can just tell. Like, I mean, sixth round. Let's see. Wikipedia would stop being stupid, but
It's like
yeah,
taking a running back from Wisconsin. You don't do it.
yeah. I just want to say because like sixth round, seventh
Taylor
round
was
picks,
from Wisconsin.
nothing remarkable to say, but they did take this wide receiver from William and Mary. His name's Trey McBride, and I just wanted to mention him because he's from the College of William and Mary, and I just thought that was cool to mention.
He was also a former Chicago Bear, too.
Yep, former Chicago Bear as well. But yeah, Titans draft class. This was a big draft class for them because you were getting your hopeful franchise quarterback, and you needed to do a good job building around him in your first year, and they flopped very hard. Like they were the Titans in 2015 and their draft class basically had a flop era.
Oh yeah.
Big flop, big time. I mean, here's the thing. At least you tried to do as much as you could with Marcus Mariota, and they did make playoffs multiple times, and they won a game.
Mm-hmm.
I can't flame because I think Marcus Mariota was okay, and it's more a product of I think every single year was a different offensive coordinator, and given how big social media has gotten, how we kind of see these, like, think of it like back in the 90s, if somebody busts, you don't really have a big thought of it. It's just, oh, this guy was never good to begin with. But the more we go into like the modern where if a player sneezes, you know, right? You'll know, right?
Yeah.
Whereas back then it was just such an unknown. And then you look at why he flopped. You look at let's look at some other flops. Did they have multiple different head coaches? Did they have different offensive coordinators with different philosophies? Because it's hard to learn different systems from different systems. Not every coach or coordinator is going to be running the same system. Especially if they're defensive minded. They're going to be heavily reliant on their OCs. And if their OCs constantly change, it's a new system every single year, and it's hard. That's hard to do.
Yep.
So it's especially with when you're ever drafting a quarterback, it's important to have stability in your organization at all positions. Don't get me wrong, right? Especially as much Houston, I would love to have Houston's OC as my current coach. I think it's critical for him to stay in Houston for a few more years. CJ Stroud still needs some more work done. Sure, he had a stellar rookie season, but he's going to need more work done so that he can take that next step to get this team to the Super Bowl. And I think that's going to be key going forward. So it's as much as it's, I wish Marcus Mariota would have panned out. It stinks that didn't happen, but Dorial Green-Beckham was a big one, because wasn't he a top 10 high school prospect?
Yes.
And to be a flop, a druggy flop in the NFL, oh boy, that's a big shame, because just imagine the money he could have made had he kept his nose clean. And man, it's important to be on your best behavior in college, because at least it's not like the NHL, because especially with the NHL, they're looking at how you act in senior hockey. How do you treat your loved ones even at that level? They're scouting you at such a young age. Where at the NFL, you're in 8, 19, 20. Have you matured? Have you grown up? What are coaches saying about you? What do players say about you? How are you choosing to use your free time? Are you choosing to use your free time wisely? Or are you being a complete moron, right? It's those
I'm being a complete moron.
It's like, to me, it's those decisions that have a huge impact on players and how they develop as a player in the NFL. And it's, again, why are you in the NFL? It's to make a shitload of money. That's why you're there. And to see kids that have incredible talent just flop, it's like, dude, come on. What are you doing? But it's a big shame for Doro Greenback. I mean, everything else is just a bunch of yiffs. Just a bunch of whiffs. But anyways, let's spin the wheel. Who's next?
Alright.
I'm gonna go for the low-hanging fruit. I'm gonna start with my team. I'm gonna go for, I looked at the past draft years, and I wanted to pick, to me, what was the worst one. And I found, to me, what was the absolute worst year. And I like to point out the 2021 Seattle Seahawks. D. Eskridge, Trey Brown, and Stone Forsyth. Stone Forsyth never played a game in Seattle. He was often injured, never played, 6th-round pick. You're not going to cry about it. Trey Brown, good special teams player, had some moments, no longer with the team. And then there was D. Eskridge. He was used to appease the Russell Wilson. Injury-riddled season, gets easily overshadowed by a DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett and David Moore. Never hits the roster. They move off of... He's overshadowed by Jake Bobo and Cody Thompson.
I mean, to be fair, Bobo
is Jake Bobo is going to have himself a very nice NFL career if he keeps playing the way he's been playing.
I know. I compared him, during the preview for Bobo. Like during the Seahawks preview, I called him the next Victor Cruz.
Not next Victor Cruz. I think he's going to pave out a nice top 3 wide receiver role. I think this year it's to see if he's going to take that next step to become that 3rd receiver guy, and Seattle moves off of Tyler Lockett. That's what I imagine. And plus, Lockett's cap hit only counts for this year. If Bobo does better than Lockett, then they're going to move off of Lockett. Bobo's going to play himself nicely into a top 3 role in Seattle if he keeps going on his current trajectory, because he is a beautiful player to have on the team. He does, like, every snap he gets, takes full advantage of his opportunities in Seattle, and he's done very good. I think Coach Mike McDonald is going to love this kid, love the effort that he puts in and out on the field. Now, as for D. Eskridge, he did not get cut by Seattle. He is going to be given a second chance with this new coaching staff. And I'm going to be honest, he's not making it past training camp. He's not.
I see him as a I personally, between you and me, I think I see him as, the next generation of UFL chum.
Yeah, he's going to be in the Tier 2 football leagues. It's injuries, and then there's the domestic violence that he had.
Oh, domestic violence?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Keep your hands to yourself.
It is.
Hey, quick lesson for any of our viewers out there right now. Don't beat women!
Mm-hmm.
Why is this so hard for people to understand?
Mm-hmm. 1000% do not beat women. 1000%. But
what if she don't beat women?
Mm-hmm. Keep in mind, because of his domestic abuse case, he got completely passed up the depth chart by Jake Bobo. Jake Bobo played extremely well to where you're not gonna bench this kid because look at how well he's doing. Look at how well he has done for the team. You're not gonna move off of him. He had a really great, productive rookie year, 3 touchdowns, about 250 yards. Really proved himself to be an excellent down blocking wide receiver. Puts in great effort. Like, he got passed up on the depth chart, and to where I don't see him getting any usage in Seattle. I mean, I'm
Which
stunned.
makes that 2021 draft even more worse.
Like,
And I
Trent
noticed
Brown is currently unsigned with, I think he's with the Niners right now, but we have Tariq, we have Kobe Bryant, we have,
you're about to get Kool-Aid McKinstry.
Dalvin Witherspoon. I will run through rock stars if we get Kool-Aid McKinstry. Why do we need another starting cornerback? We have 3.
Because, oh yeah!
Because
Tariq Woolen got benched.
Tariq, but you still have Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant is an excellent number 2. He was number 2 with Sauce Gardner.
Number 2.
I like Kobe Bryant as number 2. It's it's kind of a not needed position. So I mean, hopefully they're gonna try again with Tariq Woolen, but I hope he's not a one-hit, whatever. But anyways, that is to me the worst Seahawks draft class. 3 guys. One was injury riddled. The other one you kind of got as much use as you could out of him, and the other was a 2nd round pick that was a complete whiff. Probably the worst wide receiver that Seattle have drafted in the 2nd round. And I remember Paul Richardson and the fact that he never reached his ceiling either. So that is the word. Like, I thought I was going to take 2017s, but then I see Chris Carson, I'm like, in the 7th round, and I'm like, no, this is a great. And I see all the other things, like, no, this is a nice class. Minus the dumbass who hurt himself off an ATV incident before training camp.
Malik McDowell, Mr. I need to see a manager.
Malik McDowell is a complete moron. He injured himself before the NFL. Before his NFL career, like he was there at OTAs and everything, and he completely destroyed his career because of being a complete idiot. And there was other things that he did too, which is just, again, incredible. Anyways,
Oh no, wait!
Spencer.
I'm sorry. The line was, "I need to see a supervisor."
Spencer, you're up.
Oh God. So a lot of people who don't care for black people would say 2022 is their worst draft of all time. Because of the Lewis Scene thing and all that. But I would like to raise you the 2005 Vikings draft. If you don't remember what being a Vikings fan was like in 2005, allow me to give you a little bit of a reminder. Red McCombs was threatening to move the team to Birmingham, Alabama. They had just come off an 8-8 season where after somehow beating the Packers in the wild card, they lose to the Eagles in the divisional. And Randy Moss had just gotten traded to the Oakland Raiders. So things were going great in Minnesota. And, this would end up being the year where Ziggy Wolf would buy the franchise. But this was the last thing that Red McCombs would do before he left. And he made sure to leave a legacy, all right. A bad one. starting off with that first they got from the Raiders for Randy Moss, they decide to draft his replacement, and his name is Troy Williamson. Oh God, Troy Williamson. You wanna know how he did? He didn't. He's considered to be the largest bust in Vikings history outside of the Herschel Walker trade. That's how bad he is. And then, at number 18, we go for Erasmus James, defensive end from Wisconsin. And he ends up doing basically nothing here. He had 28 tackles and 4 sacks on his rookie season, and then he missed he missed the next 2 seasons with injury. And then, thankfully we got some value when the Commanders gave us a conditional 2009 7th round pick. But, not great for a first rounder. And then another guy who certainly existed, a guy by the name of Marcus Johnson out of Mississippi. He lasted 3 years, and then he kind of bounced around, and now he's the offensive line coach in Purdue. Funny enough. And then moving on to the 3rd round, we have a guy, Dustin Fox, who didn't even make our practice team, didn't even make our roster that year. Very not good. And then we make the brilliant move in trading up with the Commanders, giving up our 4th and 5th rounder to do so. And the guy we do it for is a guy by the name of Cedric Fasson. He lasted 2 years, 161 rushing yards on 50 attempts, 5 touchdowns, 3 catches, 19 receiving yards. So, trade up well spent, am I right? And then, pretty much the only good thing that came out of this draft was C.J. Mosley. That was our 6th round pick. And, he only spent a year with us. Wow. And then, we send Adrian. Also, with another pick we got for the Randy Moss trade, we get Adrian Ward, cornerback. And he doesn't even have any years listed on his football career. So, yeah, that's great. And then to top it off, we trade our 7th round pick to the New York Jets for Sam Cowart, who spent 1 year with us and didn't do anything. So, thanks for the great draft, Fred. You piece of shit.
Tip jar.
Piece of crap.
I got my eyes on you.
Tegan, you're up.
So I'm gonna deal with Nick then, and I'm not gonna go first, but I'm not gonna choose the Bears first. But for my pick, we're going back in the past a little bit.
He's gonna take you back to the pet.
And this one kind of resonates with me, just with the idea of where the Bears are at in this situation. Sometimes you don't need to have. Sometimes draft class buzz can be determined on whether your first pick lands or not. And this team had the first overall pick in the draft. And the draft class that I'm choosing is the 1995 Cincinnati Bengals, where they draft first overall Kijana Carter, one of the biggest draft busts of all time.
Fair point,
Now-
fair point.
Now, I just bring this up Because you may ask, oh, well, maybe the Bengals really needed running back at that point. The Bengals came off a 7-9 season with a decent quarterback, so whatever. You don't get quarterback. I just want to go off some names in that draft. Right after Keyjana Carter was selected, you want to know who was selected afterwards? Tony Boselli. After him, Steve McNair. After him, Michael Westbrook, even though he's a bust, but we move on. After him, Kerry Collins, Kevin Carter, Mike Malua, Joey Galloway, Kyle Brady, J.J. Stokes, Derek Alexander, Warren Sapp. Like, even though some of these guys aren't necessarily like varying at levels, they're still players that lasted a long time in their career. And after this pick, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 players up until pick 14 who have lasted more than 10 years in the NFL as a starter. Now, Keyjana Carter did make it to didn't play in the NFL until 2004, but regardless, this is one of the biggest draft busts of all time, and I think that plays into consideration when choosing the worst draft class of all time, because from this draft class, two of the players didn't even play at all. Of course, they were a 6th and 7th round pick, respectfully. But at the end of the day, it's just the best player from this draft was a 4th round pick, and even then, he did most of his work in Washington and not in Cincinnati. It's just the reason why I bring this up is like when looking at like drafts, you also have to look at the fact that sometimes they may have a good 2nd or 3rd round, but if you miss the most important pick, the 1st overall pick, then
That's a bad omen right there.
yeah.
I'd like to mention that the Bengals traded up for Keyjana Carter.
That too.
They gave their 5th and 36th overall pick, which turned into Kerry Collins and Sean King.
That's the Seahawks, right?
The Panthers, actually.
Panthers. Oh, they sounded like Seahawks players. Well, last one did. I could be wrong though. What was the second player you said? Sean Springs?
Sean King.
Oh, sorry, my bad.
No, Sean King played for the Panthers, the Colts, and something called the Tampa Bay Storm.
Sorry.
An Arena Football League.
My bad. I was thinking of Sean Springs for a second.
But that's just kind of my point. This, like, with 6 picks, you made none of them count. And your most important pick, the one that should count, the one that you traded up to do, it not only did not work, it blew up so spectacularly in your face. So, this is easily one of the worst of all time. Easily one of the worst. Because if you can't even get the first pick right, it's not looking good.
It's Grover. It's...
All right. Round 2. Oh,
That
the wheel
sums that up well.
The wheel likes Nick.
Again, I go first. Okay, so I do feel like for my second one, I do feel like bringing up the Bears now. And there is a class that I found regarding the Chicago Bears, what might just be their worst draft class, because they will have classes where, they do select nobody, but at the very least I can tell, okay, there's not many picks here. Then there's classes where they'll still find someone, but they will at least have one infamous, very bad draft pick. And for me, Um, because there's a lot of history with the Bears. There's a lot you could decide in terms of what is their worst draft class ever. But I've been looking at it, and I feel like the first round, the guy who they took in the first round in this draft class really kind of takes the cake for why this might just be the worst draft class in Bears history. And I am talking about the 1999 NFL draft here. The Chicago
Ooh.
Bears in the first round took what might just be the worst quarterback in Bears history, and that's saying something because I am talking about Cade McNown, who was yeah, let's say a massive bust to put it lightly. He played 2 seasons for the Bears and had a touchdown to interception ratio of 16-19. It was not good, and he didn't pass 2,000 passing yards in either of those seasons. Like, just put it bluntly, he was atrocious. And after those 2 seasons, he would never start another game in the NFL. Well, he is up there with Kevin White for being the biggest draft bust in Bears history, along with Curtis Ennis from the previous year, by the way, from 1998. So, 1998 and 1999, the Bears had back-to-back just massive swing and misses right
Who
there.
on
Just
earth
huge
was their
whiffs.
GM?
Um, yeah, it's a good question. Who was their GM at the time? I know the Bears in like the late 90s and early 2000s, outside of like one season, were really bad. Like until they hired Lovie Smith, until they got guys like Brian Urlacher, this team was not good at this time. But
Oh, they didn't have a GM.
oh yeah, we didn't. Damn.
Oh, Rick Spielman was on the team then.
Director of Pro Personnel, Rick Spielman. Yeah, chairman of the board, which I'm just gonna go with that, was Ed McCaskey.
No, that was Chairman Emeritus. Chairman of the board was Michael McCaskey.
No, I'm looking at the 1998 wiki, and I guess
Oh,
it
I'm
may have
looking at the
changed.
99 one.
Oh, okay, yeah, well, those changes really, I guess those changes really hardly made a dent.
One McCaskey to another.
Yeah, but yeah, outside of 2 guys who in this class, which are Marty Booker, who did well for the Bears for a couple years as a receiver, had a couple 1,000-yard seasons. He did very well from Northeast Louisiana, and Jerry Azuma, who was a talented kick returner. I mean, he's not Devin Hester, but he was talented, and he also was a good good cornerback. He was a good cornerback. Needs to be said. Good cornerback. So there is still some bright spots here, but good lord, the bad stuff in this draft class is just really bad. Like our second round pick, Russell Davis, lasted 1 year in Chicago. That's already a great sign right there. Our third round pick was Rex Tucker. I mean, he lasted 5 years, but like there is literally nothing on his Wikipedia page, so I don't know whether that's good or bad. Dwayne Bates, he lasted just a couple. He barely lasted like 3 seasons for us, so that's less than ideal. I mean, let's see who else. Fourth round, we got Warwick Holdman, linebacker from Texas A&M. Lasted a couple years, but yeah, he didn't do that bad. He did all right for us. Roosevelt Colvin, linebacker from Purdue. He lasted like 4 seasons for us, but all right. He actually did pretty well. Okay, so he did post double-digit sacks, so good for he did well. But honestly, though, like yeah, I think what really sums it up, though, it's like there is good in this draft class, but good God, the first 2 picks are just historically bad for the Bears, and that's saying something when you consider this franchise. Like Cade McNown is the biggest quarterback bust in Bears history, and that's saying something considering Mitch Trubisky exists, and Justin Fields doesn't exactly have the greatest out of this world reputation either in terms of his play, but Cade still rises above them, and that's really saying how awful he was at quarterback. And the fact that our second round pick only lasted a season just adds insult to injury with this draft class for the Bears.
It's pretty shit. It's not good.
Who's
sounds
next
rough.
on this train ride?
Not
Spencer.
good.
Me?
Yes, you.
Let's stick to 1999. So we've talked about uh, you know, drafts where you don't hit on your main guy. You got drafts where you don't hit on any guy, and you got drafts where you try to do something to trade up and fail. What if we had a draft class where you somehow managed to do all three and you only had one shot? I am, of course, talking about the 1999 New Orleans Saints, who historically had only one draft pick. Just one. They traded literally every pick in the draft and then some to the Washington Commanders. And, who did they get, everybody?
Ricky Williams.
Ricky Williams.
Ah, yes, the man who had expectations so high he'd probably smoke them. And it just didn't get any better, and it inevitably got Mike Ditka fired because, well, duh. You don't trade every single thing for one guy. That's just stupid. The one consolation, the only consolation that, the Saints managed to do is, they got, they traded him to the Miami Dolphins in 2002 for quite the haul. He got, let's see, what did they get? They got a first and a fourth in 2002, and a first in 2003. For Ricky Williams, and a third round and a fourth round pick. Let's see what the New Orleans Saints got with that. They got come on. Where are ya? Where's the From Miami section? They got Charles Grant and they got Charles Grant. They got this guy named Kiuo Craver, who I've never heard of. Apparently, he played for the Saints for 2 years and then went around the CFL, and his most recent thing I could find to him was that he was an assistant coach for the Omaha Beef, and and in 2003 they what did they get for that pick in 2003? That glorious first round pick. Why, of course, they traded it, of course. They traded up to get a guy by the name of Jonathan Sullivan, who was also a bust. So, just an overall shitty move.
Yeah. I usually say it's one of the worst one probably the guy that the only pick you get is a worldly renowned bust. And the understandable context of that pick at the time was how the running backs were the most valued position in the NFL at the time. And then, boy, how the times have changed.
Well, even then, even then, everybody agreed that Ditka lost his marbles with that one.
I'm surprised.
Even for the time, it was considered like, dude, are you okay with this? Like, are you, like, what are you smoking here?
Mm-hmm.
What's in that cigar, bud?
Look, I get it. If you're like a championship contending team, you're a team that feels, you know what? Even if this ends up, taking away all our futures and all that, like, we're one guy away from winning a title. We're one guy from being that top level team. And if we can make that move, see, I understand that. The New Orleans Saints were not that kind of team.
They went 6-10 the previous year.
Yeah, so why are you trading all your assets away? Or why are you trying to move heaven and earth just for one guy?
That is... Oh, God. That is just... It's bad.
Drugs are bad.
Drugs
Okay.
are bad. Don't do drugs. Drugs are bad, Mackay. They're bad. Just don't do them. Drugs are bad. I have no... There are... My words have left me. They have left me in... Beyond bewilderment. I think that is... probably will go down in history as just the worst draft class, because not only did you give up way more value than you had to, but the guy is not even at least at minimum a career franchise player.
He was a franchise player for the Dolphins.
All right, my turn. Sometimes I look to my rivals and I need to point and laugh. The 2012 San Francisco 49ers draft class. As we all remember, who remembers this guy? A.J. Jenkins. A wide receiver.
That name doesn't sound familiar to me.
It really doesn't, but selected in the first round by the San Francisco 49ers. Man, oh man. He was the number 50. He was ranked as the 59th best recruit for college. Played very well in Illinois. And then the Niners drafted him with the 30th pick in the draft.
Oof.
In his rookie season, he only played 37 offensive snaps, was targeted once, which he had dropped. He played at the Super Bowl, but recorded no meaningful snaps. He was traded to the Kansas City Chiefs that offseason, and he caught one ball for 6 yards, and then he was released later that year. Cowboys signed him, and then he didn't even make the final 33-man roster. To call this man a bust is an understatement to the word bust. You are a first-round pick who probably should have never even been selected anywhere in the first 6 rounds of the draft. They realized that this guy couldn't run professional routes or hang on to the ball. The other one, LaMichael James, Never heard of him. He was a second round pick. He was probably meant to be the Frank Gore replacement. Never did anything. Fourth round pick Joe Looney has carved himself a very nice career, 8-year career in the NFL. But yeah, he was the only player to stick around beyond 2016. Everybody else was not even worth mentioning on the list.
I mean, I hate being fair to the 49ers, but I seem to remember in 2015 they just had that disaster class purge, where
this was the year before the Super Bowl. Imagine if they, went a different route and got players that would have been productive for this team in a while. But probably this draft class right here was probably the reason the Niners didn't win the Super Bowl that year and could have spelled the beginning of the end. If you whiff on it, if you're known for one of the worst draft classes in the middle of your Super Bowl window, that is not what you want. Not at all.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yes, Spencer, I had to. It's shocking, but it's true. But yeah, 2012 Niners draft class stunk. Tegan, you're up.
Sticking to what I said earlier, sometimes just takes one pick. Change a lot of things. And for the Bears, I'm going with 2017. Now I'm gonna hear, oh, Tariq Cohen had a really good year. Oh, Eddie Jackson was a fan favorite. Let's look at the quarterback, Mitch Trubisky. We could have had Justin Herbert. We could have had Patrick Mahomes. No, I'll get to that earlier. We could have had almost any quarterback we want. But Mitch Trubisky was just borderline. Well, we might as well kick the tires with him for so long in Chicago after having one good year in 2018 that he essentially set the franchise back, and that it took a dumb owner going in over his head to get the guy that he wants in order to change that. I get it's not the most traditional pick of all time, but also at the same time, I will just say that if Mitch Trubisky isn't selected there, if Deshaun Watson isn't selected there, do you think the Bears win a championship?
I don't know, but
because you had John Fox, who then became
Nagy.
Matt Nagy, and he did good for 1 year of Matt Nagy, but was completely overblown because I don't think he ever eclipsed the peak that he had of that great year he had in college, and he was a project, and I think the biggest thing that they missed on was a change of head coaches.
Mm-hmm.
I think honestly, I think, for me, the big head scratcher for, regarding the, Trubisky pick for me was, I was like, even then, I was like, hey, timeout. Didn't you just give Mike Glennon a lot of money to start for you guys? That's what always confused me.
Yeah, and the fact that we traded up, which granted, I know San Fran wasn't gonna actually do anything, but at the same time, it's trade up, and also the fact that you gave Mike Glennon what might just be the worst contract in Bears history. You make that happen, and then you change your mind afterwards was a very good sign of the times of what the Bears were at the time.
Yeah,
Honestly,
Brian.
and have been for like like basically a lot of their existence.
Since Hallis died, honestly.
Yeah.
Once Papa Bear was gone, it was basically what we're looking at in 2017.
Yeah.
Like 1,000%. It is. Again, but keep in mind, at the time, I believe it was Deshaun Watson was the highest rated quarterback, and they went with Trubisky. Kansas City took Mahomes, and then Houston took Deshaun, right?
Yeah. Yeah, they traded up with Cleveland to get Watson, I believe.
All right, how's that come full circle? But with that all together, it was Patrick Mahomes was seen as a project at the time.
Yeah.
He was seen as a project. And even then, the Chiefs did the right thing. They just sat him. So, yeah.
Also, I used to think it was pronounced Mahomes. I thought he was from south of the border. Ole.
So that is, without a doubt, I think that is a bad class. Not to mention they didn't build anything to really support her. Sorry, him. Fuck. They didn't have any because they traded up. They didn't really do anything to help build around Mitch Trubisky.
Yeah, and here's something about Trubisky that a lot of people were critiquing about him during the draft. He apparently did not understand what the hard count was.
Also, what was the player that Cleveland threw in? Who was the poor kid from Notre Dame that they threw into the fire?
No, not Adam Shaheen.
It was
I'm not sure.
Notre Dame 0-16 season.
Oh, Deshaun Kaiser?
Yeah, Deshaun Kaiser was another player who didn't know what a hard count was. His coach said he needed another year in college, and he got thrown into the fire and
Oh, he was a different case because he bragged that he was a hybrid of Tom Brady and Cam Newton. Yeah, he had said he had the legs of Cam Newton and the mind of Tom Brady.
What going to Notre Dame does to a guy.
The arrogance that one has is incredible. Yeah, that was that class didn't do so well. There are more draft classes, but we shall continue the wheel. We'll do one or two more. We'll see how we feel. See how we feel. Spencer, you're first.
Me?
Yes.
Okay. I'd like to trade this spot to go last.
Oh, okay. You can go last, I guess. I'll go. I'll go. Okay, so, I'm going to take the low-hanging fruit here. The low-hanging fruit I shall take is the 2020 Las Vegas Raiders draft class. If there is any team, normally when you get multiple first-round picks, it's because you're trying to build up a team. And in the world of ifs, ands, or buts, actually,
I like buts.
Fucking damn it! I want to check the 2019 Las Vegas.
That was the year they got Josh Jacobs.
I want to specifically do. I want to check their draft class in 2019. I might submit as 2019, but you can. bust. Only good thing. Okay, well, okay, not all bad. Okay, so I'm gonna stick with I'm going to stick with my original one, which was the 2020 Oakland Raiders draft class. Do you remember Henry Ruggs?
Wide receiver, go fast. And go fast he did, right into an oncoming car.
More ways than one.
Damon Antoinette. Damon Antoinette.
Damon Arnett.
Yep, because you wielded a gun because you think you in gang, but you should be smart player.
Yeah, he pulled the Dylan Brooks before Dylan Brooks.
Pulled
John
gun
Morant.
out and says,
Yeah,
I'm going to kill you. Lynn Bolden Jr., wide receiver, not on the team anymore. Brian Edwards, wide receiver, not on the team anymore. By the way,
Why does the name Brian Edwards sound
are
familiar?
you thinking of Braylon Edwards?
Maybe.
Probably it's Braylon Edwards. Not on the team. These are third round receivers that are not even on the team. High valued picks that were complete whiffs on. Tanner Moose not on the team. John Simpson guard not on the team. It is John Simpson had some roles, and Armonic Robertson had some roles. But a lot of the time, and again, keep in mind, they had no 5th, 6th, or 7th round picks. These were all picks in the first 4 rounds of the NFL draft, and if you miss on all of these, you should be considering firing all your scouts. The GM should be on his way out, and you should start from scratch. It took a police investigation, an FBI investigation into an owner of the name Redacteds, in order for any sort of meaningful moves to happen to the Raiders. I do believe that this draft class is the worst in NFL history because they missed on all of them except for the last 2 picks, which were somewhat serviceable. In the 4th round, you need to do better when it comes to draft, and this draft class is what's setting the Las Vegas Raiders back big time.
It's an all-time bad draft class, and it's the kind of draft class that truly represents the Raiders for basically, ever since they've fallen off a cliff as a franchise, and really it does a perfect job to represent the John Gruden era, and I believe Mike Mayock, I believe he was
He was.
Yeah.
Keep in mind, the Raiders sold everything. Sold everything that had any sort of value, and they built nothing because of it. They had absolutely nothing. They completely destroyed a rebuild. So right now, the Vegas Raiders are rebuilding a rebuild. Oh, and GG, Nick.
Yep, GG.
GG's. One more win, and I will have to get my tie ready and get my suit ready. But GG's. Anyways, this draft class, as I said, has set the Raiders back several years, and yeah. Insane. That is, again, why the Raiders are probably forever going to be at the bottom of the league. It's for a very long time. They will be under Mahomes' foot for a very long time. They will get stunted on for a very, very long time. And they're going to have to suffer through every second minute of it. Have fun ruining JJ McCarthy, by the way. So that is my one. All right, who's going? You know, Tegan can go second. Tegan can go second.
Well, it's on the thumbnail. 2016 Jets draft class.
Oh my god.
Oh boy.
Oh
The
my
first
God.
one everyone thinks when they think of worst draft class of all time. Darren Lee in the first round, one of the biggest misses in NFL history. Afterwards, we have the Christian Hackenberg. The less said about that, the less Jets fans want to hate themselves even more. Jordan Jenkins, also a huge miss. And then just the rest of their class, just, people that didn't really pan out on the Jets. And I don't want to pick on them, but this is really one of the draft classes where just nothing of value came out of this. Like, no one was using Darren Lee. No one was using Jordan Jenkins. It's just pain. Just straight pain. And I feel like that's pretty much all I have to say about this draft class.
Yeah, that sums it up well.
Mm-hmm.
When you can't even produce quality players for other teams, that's when you know your draft class is bad.
Here's an indictment of how bad that draft class was. Christian Hackenberg was the worst quarterback in the AAF.
Got benched in favor of Johnny Manziel.
No, wasn't it Brandon Silver? Oh no, Zach Mettenberger first, and then
Zach Mettenberger.
It was
Mettenberger,
and then.
But it really says something when Johnny Manziel was viewed as a better idea than you. Like, he's viewed as a more promising guy for your team than you.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, it is. Whiff. That is insanely bad. All right, Nick.
Yes. I feel like there's been a theme going on about draft classes that have haunted NFL teams, draft classes that have had a prolonged effect on how their team's fortunes would turn out in the future. Regardless of how this team may have been doing at the time, this draft class truly, like, the years to follow and what would eventually end up happening to their franchise quarterback, this draft class truly haunts this franchise. And I'm talking about 2013 NFL draft for the Indianapolis Colts.
Ooh, anytime you get Brian Grigson involved, it's bad news.
This is where, really, I feel like when it comes to where things went wrong with the Andrew Luck era, this was the first sign of things to come. Because the Colts draft class, they had a first-round pick, a third, a fourth, a fifth, a sixth, and 2 sevenths. So, may not the most draft picks, but still plenty of draft picks to still work with. And let's just cut to the chase. None of these guys ended up lasting past 2017 in the NFL. Not one of these guys ended up, like, only one of them even made it past 2016. Like, none of these guys lasted that long. And literally, I looked at this because their first round pick was Born Werner. He was their first round pick, and he wasn't the worst player ever, but, like, didn't pan out for a first round pick, and he was gone on the Colts by 2016. Then you had guys like Hugh Thornton, Khaled Holmes, Montorie Hughes, John Boyett, and yeah, like, none of these guys panned out. Like, a lot of them were just gone like a year or two later. And then you had literally the guy who lasted the longest was Kerwin Williams. and he was their 7th round pick. And funny thing is, he played one game for the Colts. The games he played were in Arizona. That's where he even started some games in 2017, which is the only reason any of these players even made it to 2017. But like literally one game he started for the Colts, and that's literally this Colts draft class in a nutshell. Because nobody made an impact in the NFL, similar to the Jets, like the 2016 Jets draft class. None of these guys made an impact on any other teams. They were forgettable. They were bad, and nobody even knows who these players are anymore because none of them were hits. And it feels very fitting that this draft class, this 2013 Colts draft class, is really a sign of things to come in terms of how the Colts would build around Andrew Luck for the longest time until they finally started to do good things. But unfortunately for the Colts, and very fittingly, it was too late. And this 2013 draft class feels like it was the seeds of everything going wrong for them.
All right. Well, Tegan kind of brushed on it with the 2016 draft, but I'm gonna go with my original one where my biggest draft bust. I was just gonna take it to do like a the Jets, just in general, the Jets. I cannot think of a single time in Jets history where they have had a draft where I've gone, wow, the Jets have made a good draft this year.
2021.
I disagree.
You're telling me that
2022, I'd say. No,
I'd
say 2022.
I meant to say Garrett Wilson.
Sauce Gardner, Garrett Wilson, like that class has been good.
Mm-hmm.
But for the Jets, you are having to come across a lot of just god awful shit, a mountain of shit. And yes, I will pay the tip jar. Just a complete mountain of shit. But yeah, that's literally been the Jets for basically a lot of their history. Like outside of 2022, it's so bad.
Yeah, we're talking about a franchise that passed up on Warren Sapp for Kyle effing Brady. We're talking about a franchise that traded up for Mark Sanchez.
And Sam
We're talking about a franchise that drafted a fullback in the first round.
What year, though? I need to know the year. What year?
I want to say it was 85 or 86.
Yeah, but everybody loved the fullbacks in the 80s.
But still, you don't do it in the first round.
You're right, but in the 80s they did that. They did that in the 80s.
Even back then, they knew you don't draft a fullback as that high because we have video evidence of Jets fans going, "Oh no," when that pick was announced.
I will say the Jets have gotten better at drafting as of late, but it is...
Oh, here's another one. Mike Nugent. They traded up in the second round for Mike Nugent.
A kicker.
Yes.
You want to specifically look at their 2014. Calvin Pryor Sr. whiff. Joe Armo whiff. Dexter, like all those are whiffs. All of them. Quincy Enumia was the only thing of value in the 6th round, but whiffs. They got nothing out of 12 picks in 2014. 12 picks.
And look at how many players have gone on to do better things after they move on from the Jets. Like, ugh, Sheldon Richardson.
Okay, but then he moved on and became better elsewhere. It's
Right, that's what I'm talking about. Guys who sucked on the Jets and then moved on and got better. Uh,
this team is known as the butt fumble. They will always be the butt fumble. The biggest butt fumble cost is that they can't develop anybody that's worth anything. They have to actually select. When they actually do get players that are really great, it's in nice places, but like the biggest area they need is still something that they just have never found. But yeah, no, the Jets, I mean, I don't even think the Jets are the worst when it comes to drafting. We're going to go for one more round. And you know what, Tegan, you can go first this time.
Me?
Yes,
Ooh.
you. We'll go for one more round.
Okay, well, I'm going to keep mine short and brief again. Just because I'm running a little low on energy. I'm just going to say this right now. Let's pick on the Jets some more. I get it's only one season, and you really shouldn't evaluate talent after one season.
I really think you shouldn't evaluate talent after one season.
I agree.
But let's be honest here.
I think 3 years is more than enough. But like
let's
one
be honest,
season,
though, that last draft class that the Jets had was pretty bad. Pretty bad. Will McDonald being a first overall pick and him not starting in his second year after they just got rid of their best pass rusher is a very glaring flaw with their draft class already. Because that's the guy that you picked to be the guy to replace Bryce Huff. But now he's gone, and you brought in another guy to replace him. So, in my opinion, I don't think the draft class is going off too far. I also kind of say that because I felt like it wouldn't be an episode unless I said something at least somewhat controversial.
You know what? Fair enough.
yeah.
I can't wait for this draft class to have an outstanding year 2 now because Tegan said it. They're about to completely turn this around, aren't they? Thanks, Tegan. Jets fans, you're welcome. Jets fans, you're absolutely welcome.
You gotta start chanting my Marbies at games, though.
Gotta go for my Marbies. Alright. I am going to do... I'm torn between two. You know, I think 2012 the Jacksonville Jaguars have had several notable draft years. What was the one that Tegan you posted?
2020.
2020 in particular, and 2012, where Justin Blackman, nope, whiff. Andre Branch, yiff. A punter in the third
don't say
round.
yiff. You probably shouldn't be saying yiff on here.
Alright, sorry, my bad. Man. All bad. Brandon Marshall, nothing. There's nothing out of this. It's a swing and miss. Bad. All bad. Now we go to 2020. And thanks to a wonderful man named Tegan, shout out to Tegan for posting this earlier. Because I thought he was going to pick this one because I was going to hold off. And it's the one where they picked Justin Blackman. This gentleman was gone after one. Was it his year 1 or 2? How bad was it?
I will pull up the 2020 Jaguars draft class. Because, yeah, it's pretty bad.
Oh. want to look at 2020's bad. Oh boy, that's bad. That's 2019. Also,
So 2020, their first round pick, their first one was C.J. Henderson, and he's in Carolina now, I believe.
Yeah,
Oh no,
people
he's in.
people compared him to Deion Sanders, but in a very negative kind of light.
CJ Henderson, I mean, nothing. Trevon Chason, I haven't heard, and like they've got better players around him. Chenault's getting a last chance in Seattle, and like everybody else, I've not heard. And like Jake Luton's probably the most notable thing in this entire group. Jake freaking Luton.
Jake Luton is a future trivia question, trivia answer.
Shout out to Gridiron Heights. But Jacksonville, it's been whiffs. So many whiffs this team has had. And this is a class that, again, was, kind of signaled the beginning of the end for these guys. And, I mean, the fact that also CJ Henderson hasn't been good at all. Bounced around a lot. Like, this guy hasn't even started. He's only got 3 interceptions. Tree's doing 2019's class next for the oversight, right? Or is it 2020?
I want to say he's on a 6-year.
That was 5. It could be.
I think it's 5.
Yeah, I think it's 2019.
I didn't think he did a 2018 retrospective yet.
He did 2018.
Yes, he did. Tree did 2018 last year, so this year it will be 2019.
Yeah, so CJ Henderson, again, whiff. Jacksonville hasn't done very well with their draft picks either. I think if there's 3 teams that come to mind that just haven't drafted well: Jacksonville, the Jets, the Raiders, and hell, you could Detroit is even, for as bad as they've been, they've managed to hit on at least something, but it's been bad. And those teams who can't hit on draft picks conditionally to stay bad. But yeah, that's who I'm going with. That's who I'm going with, and why not Spencer for your last one?
You know what? For this one, it's not particularly the draft that was bad. This one is more about. This is a story about a draft move that went bad. Let's go back to 2003. The Minnesota Vikings are on the clock, but the Baltimore Ravens are interested in moving up in the draft, from number 10 to number 7. They're willing to throw in a 4th rounder and a 6th rounder for their troubles. However, the trade request does not get to the commissioner in time, and so the Minnesota Vikings are charged by having their spot moved down one. In their wake, the Jacksonville Jaguars select Byron Leftwich. And with that, the Ravens are no longer interested in trading, which means the Vikings are desperately trying to find out what they're going to do with their pick, and they still don't get it in time. Time expires. They say, too bad, you're moving down to 9th overall. And then the Carolina Panthers select Jordan Gross. Finally, at number 9, they finally get their shit together and select Kevin Williams. So, yeah, they blew what did the Baltimore Ravens end up getting with that fourth and that sixth that they could have gotten? That the Vikings could have gotten? The to start with that fourth rounder, the Baltimore Ravens selected Jarrett Johnson. However, Terrence McGee was also available, as well as Seneca Wallace. Meanwhile, with the sixth round pick, the Ravens would select Jerome Sapp. And, as much as they were just okay in Baltimore, I think those picks could have helped Minnesota maybe not get Josh McCown to death at the end of the season.
No! This
That's
season
just-
can't end like this! Is that how it went?
Huh?
The Vikings radio. No! This season cannot end like this!
No, it was, God! Touchdown! No!
Oh, yeah.
There are Vikings fans crying on the field!
That was the one where Mr. Walsh missed a chip shot field goal to win the game.
I have never been happy in my life.
Never been.
All right. Oh, man.
Alright, Nick,
Okay,
take
last
it away
one
for
for
the
me.
last one.
Yes. I feel like it needs to be said that this class right here should be very lucky that 2020 exists, because this class doesn't have the controversy that the 2020 class for this team had. But my God, in terms of talent, it is equally as bad, if not worse, in terms of just pure talent. And with that, I am talking about 2017 NFL draft class for the Oakland Raiders.
Oh,
And I call them the Oakland Raiders because none of these guys they picked, and they picked 9 guys in this class, 4 7th-round picks, 1 5th, 1 4th, 1 3rd, 1 2nd, and 1 1st. They picked 9, and none of these guys were playing for the Raiders when they moved to Vegas. None of them. Literally, their first-round pick was Darion Conley, a cornerback from Ohio State, and he was off the team after 2019. He was off the team midway through 2019. By the way, that guy's playing on the DC Defenders right now. So, yeah, actually, no, yeah, he was traded to the Texans in 2019, but yeah, like, literally, none of the guys the Raiders selected in this draft class panned out. They were so useless, so bad that literally they didn't even make it to the relocation to Vegas. That's how useless their draft picks were here. It's not as infamous as 2020 because, well, a lot of them, like, none of them got in trouble or anything, but in terms of talent-wise, it's honestly even worse than 2020 because, like I've said, none of them panned out. The fact that, like, none of them made it to Vegas really says something here. Like, they couldn't even make it 3 seasons or 4 seasons. They couldn't even make it that long to be relevant enough. Even if they're not good, they weren't that relevant enough. And that really sums up this draft class right here. And what was the come for the Raiders, considering this was basically the end of the Jack Del Rio era for the Raiders, and would bring on an even more disastrous era for the Raiders in the infamous John Gruden era, which, as it's been literal dead horse in terms of how that era went, but yeah, like this was really the true beginning of the end of the Jack Del Rio, Reggie McKenzie era. But yeah, just story, like the summary of the story here, the Raiders suck at drafting. That is the summary of this episode. The Raiders, the Jets, and the Jaguars all suck at drafting.
Big time. If it's not for Trevor Lawrence, I think the Jacksonville Jaguars are still the worst team in football.
Yeah, because the year after they totally whiffed on Trevon Walk on Aiden Hutchinson, who was having himself a career in Detroit.
I'm still stunned that Detroit got Aiden Hutchinson, and he's been worth every penny. But like Trevon Walker hasn't even been quietly good. He's just been there, and they took him first overall. And even then, like, was it Doug Peterson wanted? Was it Doug Peterson wanted? Didn't he want Aiden Hutchinson? The GM wanted. He picked the Trevon Walker, and the owner wanted the offensive lineman.
Yeah, and guess who the GM is for Jacksonville?
Trent Baalke.
Yep, public enemy number one.
Yeah, you gotta. Hopefully, they can turn it around, because if they somehow can't make it work with Trevor Lawrence in Duval, that it is going to be known as Jackson will be the worst place you could ever go to as a football player.
Yeah, and I'm sure there'll be plenty of downward spiral content to highlight the whole thing.
Yeah.
We look forward to the downfall of this team. We'll be there when it happens in fancy tuxedos. So yeah, anyways, thanks everybody for watching. Next week will be our mock drafts, our for realsies mock drafts, or what are actually I think is going to go to certain teams. This Sunday will have watch-alongs as well. And lastly, we will be. I think it might just be me and Nick for the NFL draft, but it is open VC for the upcoming NFL draft. So it will be open VC. Anyone can join it as long as you behave yourselves.
I'll be live in Detroit.
And Spencer will be live in Detroit.
I will be a correspondent, just like
I can't wait for the draft. The draft is usually really the fun times of the year to be around. Friday will be the Friday of the NFL draft will be no show. We'll be probably taking that week off, but continuing the watch-alongs for Sunday. And then the next Friday, the Friday after the NFL, like the week after the NFL draft, that will be the first Sicko stream on the Untitled Sickles project, as I will be stepping away for 1 week. And we'll be doing split rotations, but we're still kind of figuring out what that's going to look like. As well, don't forget to subscribe to the Untitled Sickles project channel. I will be working on a video for that channel sometime soon for Pacific Northwest Sports. I'll be doing my best fan reaction to everything that happens in the Pacific Northwest, at least every week to every other week. So I will be doing that. I just gotta figure out if I'm just gonna do it all in one take. And yeah, that's what you got to look forward to. So anyways, we'll see you guys this Sunday for the watch along, and you all have yourselves a good day. Peace.